Miguel, do you want to go ahead and kick it off?
Yes, thanks, Jen. Good morning, everyone, and we want to welcome you to our coffee break where our subject for today is how to start energy efficient projects. We know you all have many places or other things that you could be doing, but we want to thank you for taking the time to join us in this presentation and learn more about energy efficiency and how you can get those projects started in your business or within your community. Next slide, please. All right, so thank you. So today you will have myself, Miguel Thomas. I will be your moderator hosting this presentation, and then we will have Jen Robinson, who is in the Delmarva Power territory, who we both are account executives with Delmarva Pepco, and she will give you more information about how to get started with energy efficiency. If you have projects that you are considering, or if you have a project in mind and you just want to know what are the first steps. So as we transition into this presentation, we want to start off first with the safety message. As you all know, and if you've been outside, it's summer, and one of the top things in terms of summer is going to the beach, going to a pool, or if there's a rooftop with a pool, taking a part of that. But we also want to make sure that you're safe. So some things to keep in mind when you are going for a swim or at the beach. Make sure that you swim with a buddy. Make sure somebody knows to keep an eye out for you. Also, make sure that you're swimming in the designated areas where they are a lifeguard. I know some people tend to want to go to other areas because they may not be as crowded on the beach, but they have designated areas where lifeguards are for a reason, for your safety. Avoid waves and currents if you can, and also know your fitness capabilities when you're going out for a swim. Some folks like to go further out, and if you may not be as strong of a swimmer, or if your buddy or the other person who's with you may not be as strong of a swimmer, just keep those things in mind. Sometimes you can be playing games in the pool and you just keep going further out. So if you notice yourself a little further out than what you're comfortable with, make sure that you swim back closer to shore, and be safe and have fun. So our agenda for today with the presentation is we will give a brief overview of Empower Maryland, what it is, how it started, and where we are to date. And then Jen Robinson will give the presentation on how to get started with energy efficiency projects. And then we will have Q&A at the end. A few housekeeping tips to keep in mind before we continue on with the presentation. If you do have questions in that panel at the bottom, you can enter your questions there where it's labeled questions. And if you feel the need to take notes, please do, but also know that we have on that next section below questions labeled handouts. There are 3 additional handouts, which are our energy incentive sheets, as well as the presentation today. So if you're not able to capture everything that we're saying, those handouts are available for you to download, and the presentation will be sent out. A recording of this presentation will be sent out at the end. So those are just a few things to keep in mind as we move on with the presentation. So Empower Maryland. What is Empower Maryland and where are we today? So Empower Maryland is a legislation that started in 2008, and the goal was to reduce the energy consumption by 15% by 2015. That goal was achieved. So after that, now the goal is to reduce energy consumption by 2% every year. And how do we do that? We do that through numerous ways. One, by putting on webinars in our positions as account executives with energy efficiency, working with customers in the commercial and industrial sector. So if there's any any project that you're doing that requires electrification, there possibly and probably is a way that we can save you money. And outside of the energy efficiency program, there are other programs such as our instant business discount, small business, and there are also programs available to those on the residential side. How is this program funded? So this is a ratepayer funded program. If you look at the fine details at the bottom of your utility bill, there's a charge that most of us pay into the program. So that is where funding for this program comes from, and that's how we're able to fund these programs. So it's a program you're paying into, so please take advantage of it, or if you know a friend or a customer or a neighbor who's doing some type of energy efficiency project that requires electrification, asking, hey, are you taking advantage, or have you looked into Empower Maryland, because there may be or potentially funds available for you there. Next slide, please. So what are the positive impacts of Empower Maryland since 2008? One, it's had a positive impact on our economy as well as our planet by reducing our energy consumption. To you, the customers, financial savings through your utility bills by helping cover the cost of installing more efficient equipment, but also reducing your energy bills, because we know with businesses, typically energy bills are sometimes one of your more costly expenses. Job creation. So for our service providers who do the work, they've been able to hire more people for their teams, and then other businesses, because they've been able to streamline and install new equipment, they've also been able to install new businesses as well. In addition to that, it also is a positive impact to see what the utility companies are doing to put back into the community, and also it reduces our overall need for power. And so those are just some of the benefits of Empower Maryland since 2008 and what we hope to see in the future. So now I will turn it over to Jen Robinson, and she will give a presentation on how to get started with energy efficiency. She's a seasoned veteran in the game and knows what she's talking about. So she's going to drop some great gems for you guys. So please make sure you're listening, and we're here for any questions that you have. Please drop those in the question portion of the presentation. Jennifer, I turn it over to you.
Thanks, Miguel. I appreciate the kind words. And thank you, everybody, for attending today. We hope that it's filled with pertinent information that will help you become more energy efficient, as well as save you money out of your budgets in the long run. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and get into the meat of the presentation. Just to reiterate what Miguel said, if you have any questions, you are all muted right now. Please put your questions into the questions section. We will not be monitoring chat, only the questions section. And then at the end of the presentation, we will open up everybody's mic in case you'd like to ask your questions verbally. Okay, great, thank you so much. So Miguel and I specialize in the large business program. There are different segments within the utilities programs. He and I specifically represent the large business program, which are buildings that consume more than 100 kW. And there's a couple of things that you should know when submitting a project, is to let us know specifically when you're thinking about doing projects so that we can help you design it. And it's important also to submit that project before you've even started anything. If you submit the project once the project is started, it's no longer eligible. We're trying to reduce something they call free ridership, which is people that have done the project with or without the incentives. So submit your projects before you start anything. Help us guide you through the process. We can help you with design services, and we also have a great service provider team. So service providers can be architects, engineers, lighting contractors, HVAC contractors, and service providers have been vetted by us. So they've been trained on how to do these rebate applications on your behalf. They've also been trained on efficiencies that are required for participation. If you have a particular provider that is not a service provider, we can also introduce them to our service provider team that can walk them through how to get set up as a service provider within the programs. The next step would be to identify your different program type. I'll get into that a little bit in more detail later on in the presentation. But again, submit that pre-application before you start anything at all. So things that you'll need for a prescriptive application, and a lot of people don't know what prescriptive means, so I'll just stop right there. Prescriptive is prescribed, so it's easily defined. So it's per lamp, per fixture, per ton of HVAC unit, per horsepower. It's something that's defined or clearly defined by the program. If it doesn't fit into a defined program or prescriptive program, it would fall into the custom program. And that's basically any project that isn't clearly defined that saves electricity. So at that point, you would get us involved, and we would walk you through what's required for a custom application. And there's lots and lots of guidance available for that, as well as a written document called a TASR that will walk you through how to complete a custom project. And rather than paying out a custom project that is widget-based per ton, per horsepower, per lamp, or per fixture, it pays out per kWh. The base project pays out at 25 cents per kWh, and then there's an accuracy bonus. So if your service provider predicts within 10% how much kWh that project will save, and granted, we will give them guidance on that, there's a 3% accuracy bonus. So you can earn up to 28 cents per kWh. And here on this slide, it talks about prescriptive projects specifically. There's terms and conditions that needs to be signed by the customer that agrees to the conditions of the application. It says things like you agree to allow us to come inspect it to make sure that it was installed as proposed. There's a lighting workbook that your service provider can help you with, or an HVAC workbook that your service provider can help you with, or if you're even self-installing, Miguel or myself or one of the other account executives that I'll show you later in the presentation can help you submit these applications. So don't worry, there's lots and lots of help available to you to guide you through these, whether they be written documents or just a helping hand from Miguel and myself. But you know, these are some of the other requirements that you can see here. If it's an HVAC project, you'll need to take a screenshot or a snippet of the HRI certificate. And we do go by the efficiencies that are on the HRI certificate, not the efficiency that's on the spec sheet. So that's just another little thing. But there's all types of help for all of these projects. Miguel, I'll pause there. Are there any questions in the queue?
No questions at the moment. One was to come a little closer to the mic, but I think you did that midway through the presentation just to make sure they hear you better. But no other questions in the chat.
Okay, great. All right, so getting started. Once you submit the project, the pre-application, the application is online. So it's very easy. Once you submit the application, you're able to go back and follow that application through the process. And once you submit the pre-application, we require you to wait to order any equipment until you get pre-approval. And what that means is that an engineer or a project coordinator has been assigned to your project. They've had the opportunity to look over your project and basically bless it and say, yes, this does qualify for incentives. And it also gives you an opportunity, if you submitted something that does not qualify for incentives, to stop right there, respec the project, and choose something that is qualified. So that's one of the reasons why we want you to get a pre-approval. And then once you have the pre-approval, you are free to move on with your project. Go ahead and get that installed. So getting into a little more, go ahead.
One question you do have, Jen, from Peter, is what is AHRI and how to find them?
Sure. If you type in AHRI certificate for HVAC in Google, it will bring up the website where you can enter the model and serial number for the HVAC unit. And sometimes if you type in a little bit less, it will give you a bigger hit. And if you don't find your particular model number of the one that you're installing, there is a 1-800 number there, and there's also a email for contact us where you can request help finding that certificate.
Thanks, Jen. And I also dropped the link in the question chat to respond to Peter's question.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much, Miguel.
No problem.
So when submitting an application for pre-approval, if your project is for lighting and it's under $5,000, you can get an instant approval. So you don't have to wait for a pre-approval for projects of that size. And also any packaged or split systems, HVAC units, where the projects are less than 15,000, the same applies. But please keep in mind that chillers and VFDs are not eligible for the instant pre-approval. So when in doubt, err on the side of caution or reach out to one of your account executives to see what qualifies and what doesn't for instant approval. We're here to answer all of those questions for you. So once your project has been installed, what do you do now? Because obviously you want to get paid for the work that you've done. So at that point, what you will do is submit the final paperwork, which is invoices and the signed final agreement, any relevant pictures of the equipment that you'd like to submit. Some of the projects will require a post-inspection, and some of them do require a measurement and verification process. If your project is going to require measurement and verification, we'll let you know at pre-approval stage so that you know what's required for that M&V requirement. And then once all of that is done, the engineer that was assigned your original project will once again review the project for accuracy and make sure that the project is what was proposed. And at that point, they will final approve the project and submit it for payment. And at that point, you're about 4 to 6 weeks from a check. You ask, between the pre-approval and the final review, things change during a project. And if something changes in the scope of your project, please let us know that so that we can let the engineer know and that we can bless it again, just so there's no surprises for you or for us once the final paperwork is submitted. Sometimes that can cause a little bit of confusion. So just let us know if anything does change or if there's a change order that you'd like to submit. Let us know about that. So I talked a little bit about prescriptive and custom. And again, prescriptive are fixed rebates. It's per lamp, per horsepower, per ton. Custom, again, is anything that doesn't fit into that prescriptive bucket that still saves energy. That could be a complex chiller plant redo. That could be a new construction project. So a new construction lighting automatically fits into a custom project. It can be building tune-up. Now with the building tune-up, basically what that is it is a project where you go back into your building and put it back to the way it was designed. So you hire a contractor to come back in and optimize the efficiency of the existing equipment, put setback back to where they were. You can do an HVAC tune-up, which basically pays for one service or maintenance of your existing HVAC equipment, and we reimburse the contractor for that. And then there's also in that building tune-up section, there is retro commissioning, which is a little bit more sophisticated, but it basically optimizes your building and optimizes the way that you're running your building. And there's also monitoring-based commissioning that's available through that program as well.
Your sound cut out for a second, Jen. I don't think they heard the last few sentences you said right before you got the monitoring-based commission.
Yeah, so monitoring-based commissioning is a program where it's exactly what it sounds like. So they optimize the building. The contractor or service provider will optimize the building's operation, and then they will monitor, remotely monitor your building and its set points to make sure that it's always optimized and operating at peak efficiency. And business instant discounts is another program that's available. And this one's super, super easy for everybody. This is basically a point of sale discount. So there is a website on our regular program where you go and hit business instant discounts, and it shows you who's participating in it. And this is supply houses, lighting supply houses, and HVAC supply houses. And you can go in to one of these supply houses, being a Delmarva or a Pepco customer, and say, I'd like to get my instant discount. With your account number, your Delmarva or your Pepco account number, they will discount those materials right at the point of sale. So there's no paperwork for you. The supply house takes care of it. So that's an easy way, especially if you're doing maintenance things, or you have people do self-install lighting. Maintenance guys that can come through and replace inefficient lighting with efficient lighting. You can just go into the supply house and buy what you need. It's not intended for shelf stock or truck stock, so we would like those measures to be installed, but that's another route that's available to you. And I did briefly mention new construction, which fits into the lighting fits into the custom program. But for new construction, it's not just lighting. It's HVAC, it's refrigeration, it's kitchen equipment, and anything at all that's better than what code requires, at least by 10%. You can apply through the new construction program. And another program is our energy efficient communities. And energy efficient communities is for our non-for-profit or municipal customers. So if you are a township, a municipal building, fire, police, a school, a non-for-profit college, on top of the regular prescriptive rebates, there is a additional funding source that we call energy efficient communities that you can apply for additional funding on top of the regular prescriptive rebates. So that's another avenue, and that all of the rebates are quite lucrative, but the energy efficient communities is just really the icing on the cake. In some cases I've seen that cover up to 75% of the total project cost. If you fit into that category, reach out to your service provider or to your account manager, and they will walk you through the communities process. It does require a launch meeting. It does require for you to appoint an energy champion that will champion energy savings throughout the organization. You do get one certification training that can be applied to continuing education credits for an engineer or some other, if you're a lead AP and you need continuing education credits, the one training for one person per year can be applied towards that. We run those trainings quarterly-ish, so we can let you know when the next one of those is coming up. We also offer efficient communities kits, which are smart power strips as well as LED desk lamps. Two other programs that Miguel and I are not experts on, combined heat and power, which is basically where you are generating, you're doing heat recovery and you're generating your own power on site. There's a program designed for that. And small businesses, which is similar to the regular prescriptive program, but it's just designed for businesses that consume 100 kW or less. So this is the territory map, just to let you know where we cover. You can see as far as the PEPCO account executives go, Steve Weaver covers Montgomery County and Stephanie is in Prince George's. Zach has the bottom half of Delmarva. I have the top half. And then Miguel is, our wonderful host, is multi-family. So that's multifamily in the traditional sense as well as assisted living across all of the territories. So there's some additional funding sources in addition to the rebates that you can use to help finance your projects. As Miguel mentioned, in the handout section, the presentation is there. So, you know, all of you don't have to frantically scramble to go to write these down, but these are some additional funding sources that you can pursue to help get your finances greenlighted.
Thanks, Jen.
You bet. And again, this is just a timeline on how to do the project, evaluate the energy efficiency projects, choose equipment that's qualified, apply, wait for pre-approval, and perform the project and then get paid. And here are some other webinars that are coming up. The next one is ways your business can save energy or money. Others to follow, you can see there. And we'll send out notices for those so that you can register for those as well. And now I'd like to open it up to questions. I'm going to go ahead and take everybody off of mute while I do that. Okay, I am unmuting all attendees. So if anybody has any questions, they can go ahead and ask those now, and Miguel and I will do our best to answer.
So one question we did get from Brian was, are there assistance programs for installation of EV charging infrastructure at offices? Brian, if we had a dime for every time we got that question, we'd be millionaires. But to answer your question, yes, there is a program through PEPCO right now. Funding for those programs, the utilities had exhausted funding for those programs so they're waiting for permission from the commission to refund those programs, but specifically for your business sector, there is a program available through PEPCO. I will try and drop the link in the chat before this call is over, and if not, we have your information. I can just email that directly to you.
Great, thanks, Miguel. Any other questions that we can answer for you? We've got another minute or two here until this is over. Okay, well, I appreciate again everyone.
Jen, there's another question here. It's this. What is this step? One, the phone number or email.
I'm sorry. Once again, please.
What is the first step? Is it the phone number or using email? What is the first step in starting the process? Does someone call or do they send an email?
They can call one of the account executives or email us, and then we can help guide them through the process. Both Miguel and my contact information, we'll put it into the chat so that you have it, and we can point you in the right direction. And there's also the website. So if you type in PEPCO or Delmarva rebates for businesses, that will take you directly to the website. And the online application is right there. But again, we're here to help guide you through the process. So please feel free to reach out frequently, and we'll help you in any way that we can.
And right
Another
before-
question. Another question quickly is, have you received any updates as to when the new Cycle Empower Maryland rebate incentives will be released?
Right now, I believe that they have put out an RFQ, which was a request for information. I do not think that the RFP has been released yet. The current program in the iteration that it's in now is in effect until December 31st of this year. I do believe that there is going to be another incentive program after that. I think it's going to be 3 years, but tune into these webinars because as we get that information, we'll release that to you. But right now, we just don't have a lot of information about what the new program will look like or what the funding looks like for it. The Utility Commission sets the goals, and it also sets the funding goals. And then it's up to the utility to file its plan on how they want to achieve those goals. So more to come on that. Sorry, I don't have more information.
Thank you so much. Just want to say, this is Jamie from PGCPS. I just want to say thank you, Miguel and Jen, for a great presentation. Really appreciate all that you all do for us. And to piggyback on what you just spoke about in terms of, waiting to get a release for the next cycle of rebate incentives, I understand what you meant by the current program ending December 31st, 2023. Is that based upon all applications that were submitted by April 3rd, 2022? Or can applications still be submitted now?
You can still submit applications now. There'll be a transition period between this phase's funding and next phase's funding. And Miguel, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that they honored applications that were submitted in previous phases into the next phase.
Yes, typically if
the way that
you're right.
that worked.
Yes, if applications are
please-
submitted, they typically honor them.
Yeah, so don't, just because the project's not going to be done by the 31st of this year, submit them anyway, because we'll roll them over into the next program, as long as that program exists. But I don't see any reason to think that they're going to change drastically. But that's just my opinion. So, but again, tune in frequently and often. And as we know, we'll let you know.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Again, thanks for hanging in a little bit past the time. We're about 4 minutes over. Any other questions? I can hang out for a couple more if anybody needs me to. Okay, well, my number's on the screen. My email's on the screen. Feel free to reach out. If I'm not the right person, I'll connect you with the one that is. Enjoy your afternoon, everybody, and stay cool.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.